You are listening to the Lucha Central Podcast Network. And now, LuchaCentral.com presents Masks, Mats, and Mayhem.
I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks.
Welcome to another edition of Masks, Mats, and Mayhem. I am your host, Justin Outlaw Harvey. That over there is at Byron Fever.
Catch it.
What it?
Catch it.
Etch
Cat
it?
shit. Cat
Oh,
shit.
catch it. What is there something wrong with your teeth? Did you
Is
get?
there?
I don't know. Did you get some Cesaros in there or something?
No, I think it's my light. It's super bright.
That's why you couldn't understand catch it. Anyway, you can find me on social media at JustinHarvey75. You can find the entire show on social media at MMMshow75, and you can find that guy probably in a hot dumpster fire. Hey, is hockey finally over? Do we have something to celebrate? Is hockey done?
Hockey had a tremendous playoffs. Colorado won the Stanley Cup, Tick off, you hoser. It was
so where
really
is
awesome.
the cup right now, and what debaucherous things are being done in its presence and or on it?
I think officially, I don't know. Actually, everyone on the winning team gets a day with it. I don't know if that's started yet.
The cup itself is like a super spreader now, right? Isn't that the plan?
There's I mean, so to like compare it to wrestling, you know how when the Ultimate Warrior was WWF champ, there was always a Winged Eagle belt that he wore that was a different color. And it wasn't just because they wanted to have it match his more colorful personality. He would just keep losing them. So the Stanley Cup has a similar tradition of like, sometimes the team would just leave it in a strip club or something after a night. People eat cereal, they'll drink whatever out of it or do whatever. You get a day with it.
This is how you know it's not a black people sport, because if we did that to some kind of trophy, they would like ban us or suspend us for 5 games or some bullshit. Like, come on, man.
There's black people who play hockey.
There's person.
There's
who
like
plays
that
hockey.
guy. There's that guy's brother, real brother.
Gotcha. Thanks, Hulk. Appreciate
that.
Thanks for the clarity.
Anyway, there's PK Subban and his brother. I don't know if his brother still plays golf for the Bruins. But
so, what do you want first? What do you want first tonight, Byron? Do you want AEW or WWE?
I got
a little bit of both.
I just want to feel happy.
Well,
in life.
That's what Tinder's for.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not swiping the right direction, man. Have you figured out how to use that thing yet?
I don't go on Tinder.
No. Grindr. What are the other apps?
We're still doing the Grindr jokes.
I don't know what any of them are. Wait, Grindr's the gay one? Is that what it is? The LGBTQIA+ one?
Yeah, Grindr was the one that was not notoriously, but most associated with gay men having sex with each other as often as possible, which sounds awesome.
I honestly
if you're
don't
into
know
that,
these things because I've never used any of them. I don't know which one is which. You tell me.
I mean, good for them, But
there honestly there should be an app for everyone. There should be a specific one. That way you don't have to deal with some subsection of some other app that doesn't really want you there.
Yeah. Wait, who doesn't want you somewhere?
I don't know.
Is it because you're half Irish?
Half Irish. No, that's not what it is at all.
Fucking disgusting group of people Irish are.
Yeah. you tell that to the Irish and see what happens. All right, so which one do you want first? WWE or AEW?
Let's talk Money in the Bank, because we talked a lot about what was going to happen.
Okay, look. So I get it, because you know that the numbers are high right at the beginning of the show. That's when they're the highest. So you want me to say I was wrong? I was wrong.
I also thought the same thing.
And
you were wrong.
I thought that your backup plan was going to come in real strong and heavy, but apparently, so here's the info that I've gotten and the info that I've tried to get that I haven't gotten. Cody was in heavy contact with WWE producers, not this very past week, but the week before. And that is most likely in regards to talking about future plans, discussing his injury. I know they had talked with his medical team as well, not with the WWE docs. So they have been consulting with him, and I also believe that they were setting up and doing some promos with him where he was they sent out a camera to him. So, and I don't think they were self-tapes. I think they actually sent a crew to Cody to do some stuff, and the decision was made at that point in time that they were not going forward. And I'm guessing that is the case because all week long, Vince was reworking stuff for Austin Theory in Money in the Bank. And that was, the slot was held back. There was a lot of speculation, even from people inside the WWE, who the slot was going to. I believe Vince and maybe 2 or 3 other people talked about it. But for the run through that they started doing Saturday morning, and I believe as early as Friday night when they were talking through the layout, Austin Theory was always involved. So that's that. I mean, it's really a question of, is Vince a genius, or does Vince have something cooking? It's weird because, first of all, you can absolutely see that Vince McMahon does not know what the fuck to do with himself right now. Like 53 hours of his week got freed up, and clearly he's back to his old late Attitude Era, early 2000s Ruthless Aggression era Vince stuff. All the way to the point where we had Otis puking on Monday Night Raw this week. He's gonna puke.
Yeah, let's get Casey on.
Oh God,
Oh,
that's hard to do. I'm gonna puke. Let me drink some water. Yeah, but all the way to the point where literally we're back to. But hey, there's a whole generation that hasn't seen Vince make a star puke on TV.
Oh God.
And this version was at least gimmicked, but. Anyway, that's not Money in the Bank. That was.
There's a whole generation that didn't see the most famous Vince quote that Casey will do, where he got Trish Stratus to take off all of her clothes and told her to bark like a dog if she's sorry and all this stuff. And it's like, maybe that's a good Vince to leave in the past. But he's kind of getting.
Well, obviously it should be left in the past, but then there also begs the question of like. I watched that stuff when it was on. Like, I wasn't a huge Jerry Lawler Puppies fan, but at the same time, I was a 20-year-old guy or whatever. Like, I wasn't super mad at it. I didn't think it was appropriate or respectful by any stretch of the imagination. But you know what? I was a 20-year-old guy. I had a subscription to Maxim magazine. Like,
yeah,
of course that's what Vince was doing. Like, he was catering towards that generation. And I do think it's funny now that a lot of people hate on it when a lot of those people that are hating on it totally loved it back then. And I'm glad they're hating on it now because honestly,
right.
we can all grow up. And if you need that kind of salacious material, there's other ways to get it from people that are more in a position to actually be willing to do those things as opposed to wrestlers who don't want to be doing those things.
What's really made a difference is like you hear interviews where the talent is free to speak and they're not worried about the next paycheck if they're going to lose it. And then they tell you exactly how they felt about it, or at least allude to being uncomfortable. And that paints it as a much different, like Lita and even Edge did not want to do any of the rated R, like really salacious stuff like the Live Sex show.
And like I told you, I recently went back and watched the WWE version of ECW. It's like the 3rd or 4th episode, and Edge was kind of one of the guests that night, and they were still in the rated R superstar period. And Edge cut some hot promo stuff, and it was great. And it was very similar to the Judgment Day stuff he's been doing recently. And you could tell what part of that gimmick both him and Lita liked. They had no problem being heels. They had no problem even being paired up or coupled up. Mm-hmm. But the like sticking each other tongues down each other's throats, like Sammy and Ty Conte do these days, was not their thing. That they weren't involved. They weren't feeling it. It was embarrassing for them to do it on television. Like it just wasn't their thing. Now, that being said, you're also actors. And if you get a script, you do this, that, and the other thing. But at the same time, actors also know what their characters are going to do in a general sense before they're handed the scripts.
Yeah, and like before they agree to the job,
film it or do it live in front of people. Like you're not going to be in a live play where you have to get naked. You know, like if it's hair, you know ahead of time that you're in hair. Whereas in wrestling, you sign up for one thing, and then all of a sudden, you know, like 7 months later, you find yourself puking on national TV or sticking your tongue down some woman's throat in a bed in the middle of the ring, or doing some awful wedding segment and a wrestling show, which should never, ever happen again.
But you know it's going to. But as an actor on the show, doing those types of things, especially at the level of WWE, if it's on TV, you're going to have advocates for you. If it's your agent or, you know, manager or someone, making sure if it's laws that require, you know, when you shoot a sex scene, you need to have like the genitals can't touch.
Merkins.
But you have to put socks and patches of fabric on, blah, blah, blah. And there's other rules in place just to keep people comfortable, so you don't have to speak up for yourself in an uncomfortable situation. But if you're, I mean,
I'm sure Vince has a very adequate rule book sitting in his office right next to the lock door automatically button.
Yeah, he uses it for toilet paper.
Yeah, I'm sure. He's gonna puke. Anyway. So Money in the Bank. I get the Liv Morgan thing. I like the slow build, and this is one of the things that WWE does clearly better than AEW. They took Liv Morgan and they just slowly started building it. They're like, you know what? Let's give Livy a little shot here. Let's slowly build this underdog thing, see where it's going. And clearly WWE was feeling enough of it from, you know, the audience. Liv goes hot and cold, in my opinion. Some audiences really respond well to her. Other audiences don't. But she, you know, she's putting a lot of work. And the crazy thing about it is I don't think that Liv Morgan has held any title in wrestling, period. Like ever. No. Wow. She's never held a WWE title. I don't even know if she's held one outside of WWE. I don't know if Liv Morgan has ever touched gold of any kind.
Probably not, because she went in pretty young. Wasn't she a Hooters girl hire?
Yeah, and I don't think it was ever part of her trajectory or out on the indies trying to win belts, and she's never really been in a title picture in WWE other than maybe some tag stuff, like, you know, or some title eliminator or whatever. But I get it. So, and I think it was also cool that they protected Ronda a little bit in the way that she dropped to Liv. I thought that was better than some of the stuff that was done last year with Bianca and the return of Becky Lynch and all that stuff. Like, you know, it was a hot-shotting drop, but that is fully accepted out of Money in the Bank. You want a Money in the Bank surprise like that, and I thought it was a great way to end a part-timer's run without damaging her too much and giving her a good comeback when she comes back, especially if we get a heel Ronda. And
I think it makes a difference too that you have the plucky underdog babyface that you're pulling for win, whereas Bianca Belair was that role and she lost, just like Daniel Bryan lost, and it makes you mad. Whereas we're happy with the result. It's like when Dolph Ziggler won. It's like we wanted to see it.
Well, I don't know. So, I mean, like, look, I think that WWE did all of this absolutely correctly. The problem for me is they failed to make me care about any of these three women involved. Like, I was mostly cheering for Natty almost because I just felt like Natty is the best wrestler of these three and like has put in the most time and has the most respect and is doing the most for the business. Like, I'm not a huge Natty fan either, just because I don't think her character doesn't do much for me. Like, I'm never like, oh, Natty's coming out, this is going to be a banger. Like, I mean, she's not bad. She completely has my respect. She just doesn't have my attention, I guess is the way to put it. But I was kind of almost cheering for her. I mean, like, I thought it was a good swerve. Liv coming out of the Money in the Bank match, and they did a little backstage promo, and she said that she was looking forward to WrestleMania or just taking some time to enjoy the win, because I actually did not see the cash in coming.
Right.
Even as obvious and telegraphed as it was with Ronda limping around off of basically a soft bump on the ring apron, like it was, I'm like,
Yeah.
I had to give it up. I'm just like, they got me. I don't know how they got me after watching wrestling for 37 some odd years. Somehow WWE got me with this a swerve they've done how many times?
Every year.
Every single year.
But yeah, but that's, I mean, the difference in AEW and WWE are the types of stories that they tell, and WWE tells these types of stories. This, I mean, it plays like a movie. The whole Liv career plays like a movie. Go back to NXT, and she's super excited, but she's not good at all, and she gets a title match with Asuka and taps out to a basic armbar. You know, like all that play, all the stuff. It's
I like that they're
straight
going to
out
give
of a
her.
movie.
It looks like they're going to give her wins with really basic shit too, which would be awesome. I think it's almost awesome to have a champion where you know, no disrespect to Liv, but where you lower the expectations a little bit.
Well,
like, let's reset things. Like, not everything has to be a fucking 52 ladder match. Like, every now and then, you know, it doesn't have to be a roll up, but like, you know, somebody wins with their finisher the first time, or, you know, uses something sneaky or gets a good move in, and that move is enough to, you know, like, oh my God, a body slam. It took the wind right out of him and she gets the pin. Like, hey,
well, it's like
wrestling used to do that.
Bryan Danielson used to call himself Mr. Small Package because he would win with small packages.
Oh, because he would. I get that now. It took me a minute.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe the others, I don't know. Maybe.
So you're a nicer person than I am, Byron. So I will ask you what you thought of the actual women's Money in the Bank ladder match.
I didn't watch it. I did
not
watch it. I watched the title match, and I thought
I'll tell you what, I'm with you.
I carried it, but
I had
tuned
that
in
match
too late.
on. The match was on. It was on my television. I just don't.
Yeah.
I was so in and out of it, and then every time I would look up, it was just kind of like, it's kind of. Oh, so Angie, what's going on, Angie? Says it's going to be an interesting title run for Liv. It's going to be a lot like Alexa's title run, I think. Well, and that was kind of the point I was getting to, which is the other reason why I liked the cash in. I liked her going to the SmackDown belt. I think they've had this problem for a while of like, look, they both have a little bit of a Harley Quinn gimmick. There is a little bit of similarity between Alexa Bliss and Liv Morgan. I think that's always been the case. I think some of it was intentional.
But I also think that there's just an element of physicality and stature where you look at both of them, and realistically, even with their size, there's just not that element of them where you would actually think Alexa Bliss would beat Nia Jax back in the day when they were fighting and this and that. Like,
and they have to do that same story with Liv now too. So separating her out from Alexa and the comparisons is good, and the fact that, you know, it was almost obvious because they let them have a few moments together in the run up to this Money in the Bank. And they even kind of telegraphed it on air, saying that, like, this isn't something you're going to see very often, or this isn't something you see very much of with their tagging together, or they're wrestling against each other. So good for them. And I liked Alexa's little promo on Raw this week too, where she was just kind of like, I don't have friends here, but good on her.
Because they fired them.
I like, they got themselves fired, half of them. Anyway, but no, I like that angle for her as well. The match, God bless them. Like, there was a high level of effort.
I saw the Shotzi botches because I wanted to see what all the fuss was about.
Shotzi's always been a little loose, and I don't know that they were botches so much as they just were like not great spots. But like, when do any of these women get a chance to do this kind of stuff? It's like, I don't know. I just feel like they should have tried to keep this match simpler. It's like, I think the talent that was in there was probably mostly the right talent for the match, but like, book the match towards the people. Like, don't lay the match out to like what you want to see in a Money in the Bank ladder match. Make it, do what Cody and Dustin did with when he had the arm thing. Like, lay out a match that works for the circumstances, for the people. Work the psychology of the crowd. It was just like a lot of people walking around the ring like this, trying to figure out how to set up the next spot. And it fell so flat. It was like, I don't want to see you do anything ridiculous right now because you don't look prepared for it. I'm not here to see that. I want Cirque du Soleil. If it's not some trick that you've done every night for the last 368 nights, like, I don't want to see it. Don't save that for the next show.
Yeah. I mean, as far like to your point, like what kind of matches, if you're a performer in WWE, you're not a wrestler, you're a sports entertainer, and a large portion of your role, and that's not to denigrate it, but a large portion of your role is doing stuff outside of the ring. And, and that it goes even more for the women, like the you're going to get less match time in general. And on top of that, the type of matches, even though it's better than it was, you're not going to be doing 10 to 15 minute matches all the time every week. And on top of that, like, I couldn't tell you what happened on this Money in the Bank match. I think stuff happened.
There's nothing like
but
you know that there were some attempts at some crazy spots and a few of them didn't work out so great. But that's like all you're going to remember.
I can remember back to, I think I watched it, but I remember back to like when like you have Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn amongst others in a Money in a Bank match. And you know what? Those guys went all out because they grew up doing ladder matches together.
Right.
And to your point, and like you're going to see a lot more of that on the men's roster, especially now because near top of the roster are a lot of like NXT hires that were indie darlings, like Kevin Owens.
And again, I think you can get good stuff in a women's Money in the Bank ladder match, but like book it for the people that are there. It just doesn't like. Let them shine. And this is one of the problems I'm having with, I think, all the wrestling promotions right now. Like book the matches for your talent to shine. Don't book the match that the audience craves to see. Like, don't book it for Meltzer. Book it for the talent. Book it to get them over or let themselves get over. All right. So I want to talk a little bit about this Lashley thing because I had two different takes. When I'm watching Money in the Bank, I felt like, God, this title seems like Lashley's being demoted again. But then I watch Raw and I feel like, shit, no, I feel like Lashley is actually elevating this title, especially with Roman being kind of off TV with both of the other big belts. And they even had Walter or whatever the hell they're calling him, or Gunther. On later with the IC title. And it's like, no, you know what? Right now, Lashley looks like a top guy holding that belt, and it's elevating the belt. But I am so baffled what they're doing with Austin Theory now. Is he doing the Cena thing, or is he not doing the Cena thing? Because they said that he's got a rematch slated for Lashley at SummerSlam with no graphic. So it's contrary to all the news about Austin Theory and Cena working each other, but maybe it's just a way to keep TV moving since Cena's not going to be around to really promote until right before. So maybe they'll pivot or do something else until I see a graphics package or a poster that says Lashley versus Theory.
Yeah.
But I don't know because Vince is taking over the booking again and he's doing all sorts of crazy Vince-ness.
Yeah. When Austin Theory won, it just screamed out to me. This is like, we're starting the Cena program. And like, that's just
right. And look, it was a holiday on Monday. There was already people wanting to take time off and this, that, and the other thing, which is part of why Gunther got brought in. They're German. What do they care about the 4th of July? I love, the Mysterios coming in on Monday night. That was fun in their hometown, San Diego. And I love the Ray doing the swerve too. Like,
what did he do?
So Balor had a chair slid into him by Damian Priest and was about to use it while Priest is doing the distraction. But Ray flops, soccer flops on the ground. The ref hears it, turns around. He did the Eddie. And then the ref catches Balor with the chair before he used him and DQ'd him without actually using the chair. So, and then the little lie, cheat, and steal action. Some nice Eddie homages in there. But I thought that the telling part of it to me was the fact that it was Ray who pulled off the swerve. He's teaching his son how to lie, cheat, and steal and swerve people. And I think this may eventually down the line lead to Dominic jumping over to Judgment Day or just swerving his dad. And I really believe that Ray versus Dominic is going to happen at WrestleMania.
You think this one?
Yeah, I think it's going to be this one. I think Ray wants out. Have you seen, did you see pictures of Ray at Charlotte and Andrade's wedding when he didn't have his hood on? Oh my God, he looks like a little tiny old man now.
He needs to go back on that part-timer.
Right. Well, he's on the part-timer thing. He's been giving him days. He's been given extra because Dominic's there. He wants his son to do well. So he's been putting in extra days, or then you feel like Ray's there because it's just Dom sometimes, but he's on a part-timer. And maybe they're kicking him some extra for extra appearances because the storyline's been hot or because the roster is fucking depleted right now.
Yeah.
It's so opposite of AEW. Like I watch AEW and I'm like, there's 20 guys in the back that you're not using that I want to see. I watch Raw and I'm like, there's 20 guys in the front and no one in the back. I want to see more people over here. Like it's
because they fired all of them.
I know they fired them all. WWE or AEW hired all of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did. I thought that was interesting. But Lashley, I like him wearing the U.S. title again. But I don't know what kind of program they're going to give him. I hope he gets out of this Theory program. But who the fuck is Finn Balor is probably the best option. But it looks like, Judgment Day kind of has their own thing going on.
Yeah. I don't want to see. I mean, Finn Balor and Austin Theory. Austin Theory.
No,
has to
and
go
Bobby
over.
Lashley.
Bobby Lashley. If it's like a 3-way feud.
You go back and the main feud I think is Finn Balor Lashley, but you get a little bit of Damian Priest in there or something. I think that could be fun.
Yeah, but then I just want to see Finn actually get a program where he comes out on top and wins.
But against who? Who's at WWE for him to come out on top against?
I mean,
AJ?
Everyone maybe, but it's not the way he's ever been used.
That's it. That's all I just named all the baby faces. AJ, Riddle, Lashley, done. Do you have any other male baby faces on Raw right now? Who am I forgetting? Street Profits, but they're a tag.
Street Profits are gonna.
Big E's gonna be out for a million years.
Street Profits, you could tell that they're building the Montez singles run, which, by the way,
you can tell that they're building a Montez. Period.
Yes, he's jacked now, and on top of that, he's jacked, and also he's doing it right
thank you, Cisco. Ezekiel, there's your other baby face. Ezekiel Lashley.
Yeah, it's true. But he's not
Riddle.
Yeah.
So who do you? Well, I'm just saying. So you said you want to see Finn have a good run. Is it AJ, Ezekiel, Lashley, or Riddle? Those are your baby faces. Those are your choices.
See, I would say put him over Ezekiel, but he's having a fun feud with Kevin Owens where it doesn't really matter. They'll just keep doing fun segments every week.
They're finally starting to break away from that a little bit, but
yeah,
I don't know.
I do like Montez Ford. He used to have the puffy nipples from, when it just...
They shrank from the roids?
It's a side effect of when you gain a lot of muscle mass in a short amount of time, but you haven't done it before,
right? So now he's doing it again and growing back into it. I swear to God, they got him on some legal TRT thing.
Probably
doesn't mess with their enhancement program.
But then you can also, but you know what? He needs it.
I don't disagree. But brother got jacked in 2 weeks, Byron.
Yeah,
in 2 weeks.
I know he's sort of been getting jacked, but he should have been working to that build, if not more.
I mean, I haven't seen somebody successfully bulk like that in a long time, since Shane Douglas came off of his arm injury in '97.
Yeah, it's such a big deal though that Angelo Dawkins is showing out and doing really well now, because he's always been a tag team guy.
Dude, there was a point in time during the pandemic where Dawkins looked like who Montez who. where he looked like $1,000,000. He looked like a huge star. They were pushing him every week. He was getting a bunch of singles matches. I don't know if Montez was nursing something at the time or what was going on.
Maybe.
But I mean, and I think we've been talking about on the show where you were like, Dawkins, don't you mean Montez? I was like, no, Dawkins looks like a goddamn star. He had like a good 4 months where he looked like a beast. He looked like, I don't know. He looked really good.
You know, good on him, because he was always the guy riding the coattails. At least that was the reputation or the image. He's up there on the main show, holding zone on pay-per-views. So, you know, good for him. And hopefully, you know, he'll land on his feet when he gets
Street Profits versus the Usos at Money in the Bank felt like an AEW match. Now, that could be a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's a smart thing because AEW's talking a lot of yang about best tag teams in the world, plural, because they're all saying it now, even though I will actually currently give it to FTR. I think that FTR actually does take the cake right now. I reluctantly say that, but I think they just really do. But the Street Profits and Usos are certainly making a case for themselves. They're on a bigger show. More people know who they are. The Usos are heels, and the crowd still pops for them constantly.
Well, their whole segment was like an hour and a half. I mean, their entrances each were like 15 minutes. It was an entire house party for each of them. And I mean, everything was way over. And then the match, everything was way over. It was great. But and not to bring up Dave Meltzer, like he has pointed out that the Usos work Young Bucks style as far as like the style,
they are super kicks, but like now
structurally, they structure Young Bucks matches now.
Yeah, lots of kickouts off of finishers,
which is great.
Lots of excitement, lots of, you know, and here's the thing that I like about both the Usos and the Young Bucks, and the one thing I think that both of those teams do better than FTR is the save. You can do the kick out at 2 on a finisher with a save.
Yes.
It makes my crotch itch a lot less, and it protects fucking finishes, whereas FTR does not make the save the same way. Dax does it a little bit more than Cash, but and tries to, but Dax got little tiny legs. It's a little harder for him to run than an Uso or you know, the Young Bucks. I don't know how they even do it sometimes. Those guys will be laid out on the floor just kind of like this, but they always have a half an eyeball open, and they will just sprint slide underneath that rope and like that is one of the things that makes them very, very good. The rest of their move set just ticks me off sometimes, which is why I can't say that they're the best tag team in the world right now. Maybe 4 years ago, but right now, not to me.
They're not getting the showcase right now. They're the AEW, you know.
Look, they had that match with the Lucha Brothers recently. Like, they've been trying to put in those matches. I mean, the Hardys, they carried the fucking Hardys. It's not that they're not putting in the work. It's not that they're not getting the opportunities. And it's not that they've lost a step either. I just personally think that there's a little too much shenaniganing of moves that are not very impactful looking to me compared to teams like FTR or the Usos.
Yeah. Well,
like those guys do that shit and it looks painful.
I think though that they are also kind of letting FTR prove themselves. FTR is getting all the high feature matches, and the Bucks are like, they'll step up and do a great main event. I mean, the Lucha Brothers match was so good, but like honestly, between the two teams, it was paint by numbers. Down to, if the Lucha Brothers are gonna lose a big match, you're gonna do a mask, gimmick at the end.
So are you saying that if I say Cero Miedo and put it in your face, that I'm not going to get my move off still?
Maybe not the 7th time.
It used to be back in the day, Pentagon would Cero Miedo somebody and then whoop their monkey ass for 3 minutes straight. Like, I have not seen him get off a single move since that indie run where they were really first doing the Lucha Bros thing, like ever since in their Impact run. I don't know that I've seen him put a Cero Miedo in somebody's face and then actually hit the very next move after it.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean,
like, he should know that that it's a bad move.
If he rushes it.
Maybe he's got to slow it down.
Then maybe
Rub their nose on it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but one of the things about going back 20 minutes ago when you said the Bucks are really good at breaking up pins, that's something we've always noticed and talked about. When like half their moveset are tag team finishers and they're smart, they're going to protect all of their moves.
Right.
You know, they're used to that.
Well, and maybe that's why, because and this is part of why I don't like their styles, because it's like 5 minutes into the match, it's just a series of finishers for the next 15 minutes. Or crazy bumps on the outside. Or
PWG match.
PWG match. Well, that's the other, you know, I actually have that in my notes, which is Street Profits versus the Usos feels like an AEW match, which feels like a PWG match. So depending on if you like PWG matches or not, will determine whether or not you like Street Profits versus Usos. That's literally what my notes say.
Here's my
but
question.
They did it well.
Here's my question for you. Montez Ford, from the very beginning, anyone with an set of eyeballs has earmarked him to be a huge single star. Like we even talked about it when Ricochet got hired, and Montez Ford was still a Performance Center kid who was doing some NXT TV time. And we're like, Ricochet is the best work in the world coming in, and Montez Ford is already a better WWE superstar than him. Like there's something about this guy. And in my mind, Montez Ford did a lot of, he would do a lot of stuff that would sort of work at the beginning, but he was kind of like a lightweight high flyer, sort of super charismatic, but also he would fall into the comedy thing. Like you do high pitched screams a lot when he was selling, which gets a reaction, but then it cheapens your legitimacy as like a powerhouse, as like an offensive force. And he's been working his way through that. So where he's at now, and you know, the weight that he's already gained, what would you do to him to take him to the next level as a single star?
I wouldn't break him up. Not for a while. I'd give it 2 more years.
That's what I would do. Would you give him a run, but keep him? Do they have to break up? Can't he have a singles run?
I think he is. I mean, look, the way that WWE does tag teams is you get in a feud with another tag team and 70% of it is singles matches. He's getting those matches. He's getting that time. He is the top of the mid card for sure already.
What about his presentation though? Like, do you think he needs to pick up his finish is a frog splash, right? Because he could jump so he legitimately has a really incredible.
No, I mean, I'll tell you what I honestly think he should do.
But does he need like a submission hold too? Does he need to get that standard?
No, because you know what he needs to do. Realistically, what he needs to do and what WWE needs to do with him, they need to have a really, really good tag run with him and then make him the Miz. Give him Morrison's entrance that he wasn't using, like some weird lights and whatever. Make him look super duper Hollywood. I think that is the final evolution of the character. I think, and whether it's face or heel, I think it's just a very Hollywood blinged out, like, you know, long black jacket with sequins and a collar, you know, let him
with
come
his
out.
cup.
Yeah. And still, but then the cup's, you know, a black solo cup with Swarovski crystals on it or something let him. I think that's the evolution of the character, where his swag takes over and becomes a giant ego, and he can talk freely on the mic and he can cut promos and start getting the promo time. And I'm glad that they were a big part of the Monday night show, because I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, remember these holiday shows back in the day? This is where we got Die Rocky Die going into comedy stuff that people loved. And it actually, he was still a heel, but he did some Memorial Day promo or something, and it was intentionally funny, where the writers were allowed to branch him out a little bit from the Die Rocky Die character and poke a little fun at himself, break the wall a little bit. And that is what became The Rock. Cena, first time rapping, holiday show.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, if you think back to it, the holiday shows are always been this time where Vince has let a writer and a wrestler off the leash. Like, go just do something fun. do something fun for these people. This is kind of like a house show, except we're on TV still. We've got to deliver an episode a day. Nobody's fucking watching because they're out at the fireworks or whatever, barbecue. So just go have some fun. Do a thing. There's 17,000 people in the stadium and 23 people watching on TV. So have fun. And this year, I don't know that they went quite, Vince, I think, mucked it up a little bit himself too much with the barfing up hot dog eating challenge nonsense that they did. But
did you see Joey Chestnut snap the dude's neck?
Did I?
Did you? They're up on the stage and blah blah blah, and then a protester comes up who was bringing up an actual worthwhile cause. I don't remember what it was.
I
but
remember.
He was kind of a dick.
Did I make a note about it?
And he got onto the stage and he pushes Joey Chestnut. Joey doesn't know what the fuck's going on, but the guy pushes him out of the way to get front and center and holds up a sign. So Joey's gets pushed. What the fuck? Sees this little dude. And then just grabs him by the neck and wrenches. And then the guy falls down. They take him away. I don't think he actually broke his neck. I hope.
I mean, he's dead.
I don't think.
Like death.
I mean, if you...
No,
it looks like it was an attempt to separate the head from the shoulders. This guy's a hot dog champion. You don't fuck with him.
Anyway, I don't think that you break them up yet.
Mm-hmm.
You got to find something for them to do. But everything that they've found for them to do recently has been great. And I think it would be funny if they tried to take Shelton Benjamin under their wing and did some trio stuff and Shelton just never fits in. Do something, just do weird shit with them. Weird shit with them, but find feuds along the way.
Yeah.
What's Dolph and Bobby Roode doing?
Are they still
those? I don't know. Are they still even in the WWE? They popped up one time last month or something.
They're both doing Rick Rude cosplay now or something.
Yeah. I don't know. But find somebody for them to work with. Put KO and Zayn back together. Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
Find somebody for them to work in the next feud past the Usos. I don't
Another
know what
question.
you do with the fucking Usos. But
those guys are always great, but it's also they've been around forever and they're running out of dance partners.
And WWE keeps breaking up great tag teams, or they send them down to NXT or bring them up from NXT and break them up. I don't know, even the Imperium. Where's the other Imperium guy? They let that guy go and kept everyone else, or was he some kind of pedo or something?
I think Imperium was cool, but they just.
I'm just saying, they just need tag teams. Who cares if they were great or not? The Imperium guys could work when they were down at NXT.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think they were pedos like the other.
European I'm just saying,
people.
But now you've got one guy on the stick who can wrestle, and just announcing the other dude, Gunther, who was never really in the mix on TV with them except when they were in NXT UK.
I have one more Montez Ford question. What do you do about him and Bianca Belair?
What do you mean? What do you do about it?
Do you try and put them, or do you make an effort to keep them separate?
I mean, what did you do with Naomi and her oos?
They stayed separate. But
I mean, they tried to keep them on the same brand, but even after a while, they didn't even do that. Corey Graves acknowledges Carmella all the time, but they're not really paired up.
Yeah, I always saw that there was a potential because coming up from NXT, it just seemed like Bianca and Montez, their on-screen brands seem to
look. You could 100% do that, but then who are they feuding with? Judgment Day, because it's your only option.
Then you're stuck working with other co-ed groups, and then you have shitty mixed tag team matches that don't count for anything.
Correct. It works in AEW where you have a huge roster where there's several different factions that have a female with the faction. But it's very difficult in WWE because literally Judgment Day is your only option right now, or they've got to build some more. They don't really have a lot of valets right now. All the female talent on the show is actual wrestlers. So I don't know. I like seeing R-Truth this week too, even though it was the squash. And it's funny because before that even happened, when they had all the 24/7 people run through the picture, I like fantasy booked R-Truth into a big match in my mind, and like just had R-Truth come out and cut a promo about like, y'all must have forgot. Like, look at me, I'm still jacked. I can still go, and like just randomly throw R-Truth out there for like 2 or 3 weeks in a row. And have him get some wins, then have him get like a match with Lashley that's like a handshake babyface versus babyface match, and have Lashley beat him.
R-Truth is I always wish that he still got to have a bit of a serious heel run for the title, because he had that really great program with Cena, and like he would do the Jimmy thing. He didn't have theme music, and he was a serious heel. And I really wish that he got
saying
more
they should
serious.
just
But
give him 3 weeks.
But what he's doing, what they have him do is he's an evergreen successful segment. Like he always
like I hate the stupid WWE comedy segments in general. However, when I was watching Raw on Hulu, that would always be the thing they would cut. And at one point in time, I didn't see R-Truth for like 8 months because I was only watching Raw on Hulu. And then I was like, is R-Truth still in there? And people were like, yeah, he was on Raw this week. And I was like, what do you mean? And then the next week, they're like, yeah, he was on Raw this week. And I never saw any of those segments, but it was because that was what always got cut. And then I started watching the long version, just watching it recorded or with enough buffer that I can fast forward through a bunch of stuff. And I was like, sure enough, R-Truth is in here. And these segments are great. I want to see all of them.
It's always a hit. It's always a hit.
It's dumb as hell. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. It's some dumb shit. I mean, like just the most asinine, like you can feel brain cells seeping out of your ears when you watch it because you know your intelligence level has dropped. However, it doesn't matter. That's part of why you're watching wrestling. Yeah. It's so fun. It's stupid.
Well,
it's just stupid.
WWE falls into this type of entertainment presentation, but like the purest form of comedy now, like not like here's a comedy that has a bit of darkness to it or whatever, or like this or that, just the purest just here's something that is you're just gonna laugh at and feel silly, and there's nothing more.
Yeah, and when he
I'm saying like
purposely ghettofies words and says stuff wrong, and it's like so intentional.
Yeah. But I'm saying like right now, the best, because we used to have movies like Airplane or whatever, that National Lampoon stuff back in the day. And now the best example of that are like TikTok videos.
Yeah. Like, or the Pentaveret with Mike Myers, and that's about it.
Yeah. And like WWE segments, their TV they're very structured, like TikTok videos, especially, and like the R-Truth segments. It's like 2.5.
I'm just glad you said TikToks, because I would have said Vines and shown my age.
Are they still doing a co-sponsorship with Vine?
I have no idea.
Was that the one they owned?
Wrong grandpa, man. Okay, Boomer over here has no idea what you're talking about.
It's all the same thing.
All right, so let me talk about the men's Money in the Bank match.
Yeah.
It was a good match. Like, no Cody surprise. Vince is going to Vince.
It was good stuff.
He makes good sense. He's good TV. No clue how the Cena thing's going to play into it. Like, it was just the almost spot was fun. I liked that.
It was funny to me every time Almost got teased climbing a ladder, and they even had to mention it on commentary. If the guy took 2 steps up the ladder, he could reach the belt.
No, it's so dude. At one point in time, I wanted to see him like run up the ladder and get a touch on the briefcase, and then just all the other guys like have to sprint in.
Yeah.
Just look like roaches scurrying super fast into the ring to like shake the ladder or get him down. But I know that they didn't want Almost to go up more than 2 or 3 rungs because of his knees. Like the guy's a draw a little bit at least. They're getting their great Khali out of him. So I think they want to protect those knees for as long as humanly possible, because I think we all know the shelf life of a guy like Omos in the WWE is what, 1.5 years tops. Have they ever had one that's gone longer than that besides Paul White?
No,
Andre, but that's a different story.
Andre, rest in peace. The basketball player in AEW though is doing really well.
Satnam Singh
saw him on Dark. He's putting his shit together. And
well, I mean, he's still like a young athlete in his prime too. I
Yeah.
mean, like he's got legs. He's a little uncoordinated, but he's like, look, Omos is stronger. And Omos, I think, is going to always do power moves better than Satnam. But I think Satnam is going to run the ropes better. I think he's going to bump better. I think he's going to,
he did run the ropes. Did you see? So he had one move, which was like, and I think he's tried it on TV before, and it wasn't as good. But he's dribbling the dude's head. Guy lays on his back, and he'll palm the front of the face, lift him up, slam him down, lift him up, slam him down.
That's good stuff.
With the right guy, it's hilarious. And then his new finish, is like a helicopter spin or like tornado power bomb, where like you pick him up.
I was going to say, like, the last thing I want to see is some giant, big NBA player helicopter, and that's not what.
No, like picks him up and
not interested.
Picks him up the crucifix, spins. Like, so the guy is like going to be like 8 feet in the air, and then he spins and then tosses him. Sid used to do this too. And spins and then tosses him up, and the guy in the air from like 8 feet in the air spins and falls and crashes to the ground. And it's just it's great.
Hey, you know what the best part of Money in the Bank was, Byron?
I was, in all honesty, I was watching it for like another 10 minutes after it ended, thinking that Brock and Roman were supposed to have a match.
Something else was going to happen. No, the very best part was this mysterious package that this new whatever package with like crosses dangling and whatever. Like
Bray
people were
Wyatt?
no
Kevin Cross.
No, it's Edge. I heard all of these things.
Edge gets another vignette return.
Yeah, because he was already reworking the character and working on some of this stuff, and I think that he's going to get a vignette return again. And I'll tell you why I think this. Some people said, "Is it Cross?" because there was a cross in the package, and I was like, "Well, no, but that'd be sweet if it was Christian." But we know that Christian is over in AEW cutting the best promos in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Some people thought that maybe it was Gable Steveson because of the swinging medals in the thing. Some people thought that maybe it's a cool luchador coming in because of the Latino Heat license plate. And a lot of people were talking about it was Chavo. And I was like, no, you guys don't understand. Chavo loves his current job. Like, wrestling sucks for Chavo now because he goes and does stunt coordinator stuff. Like, if you don't know, he's the stunt coordinator on that Rock show. Mm-hmm. He does all the wrestling layouts and all that stuff, but he has real Hollywood work now. And when you're an agent like he was recently at AEW and you walk backstage and there's like Dean Malenko there and Tully Blanchard and other guys that are equally as traveled and successful as you are, people are like, they'll shake your hand and you're Chavo Guerrero and you get respect, but that's it. If you're a guy like Chavo Guerrero and you walk on a movie set, people are asking you questions. They want to know stuff. Like your stock is so much higher. Everywhere outside of wrestling, Chavo Guerrero is a big fish in a bigger pond. Mm-hmm. Why the fuck would he want anything to do with wrestling at this point? If he's making decent money, like stunt coordinating and being, fuck that. Well, also, so it's not Chavo or Shaul Guerrero. It's not.
Why would any luchador sign with WWE?
So here's the reason why I think it's Edge. If you look closely, there's also Dudley Boy glasses in there. There's a Hardy Boy arm sleeve in the video. There's call outs to all sorts of other people. And it's all people that Edge has either outlasted or sent packing. And I think the cross in there is actually a John Morrison Mundo thing from the side of his trunks. It's the exact same kind of cross.
Yeah, so many crosses, and I've never known him to be religious in any way, shape, or form.
Well, maybe he is, maybe he ain't. Anyway, I'm sure Ty has made him see God a couple of times. Oh, regardless of the fact, I think that it's really all like this Edge thing, like that he's outlasted everyone else, that he's coming back as this new kind of darker thing. It's not Bray Wyatt didn't have any connection to Eddie Guerrero or any of those other people. Mm-hmm. Christian did. Or Edge did. I'm sorry.
Is it Christian? Did you just ruin it?
It's Edge.
Christian's going to show up on
WWE
wish it
was
Raw.
That'd be so good.
He's going to get on a live mic and he's going to be like, I wish all your families were dead too.
Oh my God. Which means it is time to talk now quickly about some AEW stuff because
Yeah.
Christian
can
Cage
I-
promos, I hope to
They're
God have Luke Perry turning over in his grave because they're awesome. And Luke
Uh,
would be proud.
I hope he does a gimmick how WWE used to have, like, if you're feuding with someone and you want to piss them off, you have a little person wrestler. By the way, little people wrestlers are awesome too. It's a whole genre of wrestling. And like we even saw a show that was legitimately great.
That was the first wrestling show we ever saw together.
It was awesome. But along that trope of like DX has like a mini Booker T come out and then everyone laughs at him. I think Christian Cage should have
a mini Luke Perry,
like
totally 90210 style.
No, I think you should have like a zombie with sideburns come out.
Wow, I like the 90210
and then hits him with a chair.
Wow, that's tasteless. I'm gonna co-sign that completely. First of all, I gotta say this, Byron.
Yeah,
Ethan Page is not Will Ospreay. That's it. That's all I want to say. Okay. About the Dynamite match, Orange Cassidy. Okay, so he goes back to his old PWG music or whatever it is.
Yeah, that was dope, but
I disagree. I miss the Pixies music. I thought it had a better impact in an arena. Mm-hmm. I don't think his old music does it. It's a great song. It's iconic and everything, and real fans know it, but I don't think enough. I don't think enough people in the crowd cared. I don't think it had the effect that Tony or Orange were looking for. I think it's a fail. I think they should bail on it right now and go back to the Pixies music. Pixies music just worked better for national TV.
I love the Pixies song. I mean, everyone knows
it's one of my favorite
Fight
songs
Club
ever.
And it's Pixies fucking roll. I mean, to be honest, I didn't really ever see Orange Cassidy before leading up to AEW. I don't have the emotional connection to the song and didn't.
I don't know that very many people do. I mean, I think it's like 4,000 people total that probably have a connection to that. And I think that Tony thought it was a great idea and went all out of his way to license it. And it's like, no, the Pixies music was better, bro, man. Now, maybe the Pixies music was running out on them. Maybe that license was done. I mean, that can't have been cheap either. I don't think either of them are, but whatever. Anyway, Dan Lambert's good for TV. That's my entire note. I don't know how they keep using him or what they continue to do with him, but he keeps thinking, like, legit, he keeps thinking he's going to get fired, and they keep telling him to come to TV. And I mean, the guy's a millionaire. He doesn't need AEW for any reason other than the fact that he loves wrestling, and I think he's a great heel. Just keep him coming back. He reminds me of some of the worst of Bobby Heenan. Not the best Bobby, but the worst. But I also liked the worst Bobby Heenan. So just let Dan Lambert go.
There's missed opportunity that they've had with those guys. They touched on at the beginning, but like really, and this is also where Scorpio Sky started to hone in on a character and get consistent heelish tendencies. Like his finish, the TKO. It's a face finish, you know? But when he was heel hooking guys with knee injuries, he would get booed, you know?
And it's rightfully like, so.
Yeah. And it's like, Lambert took these two wrestlers who have shoot fighting backgrounds and training. Ethan Page is a Taekwondo black belt for real. It's so much that he made
but he's no Will Ospreay. That's all I can tell you.
I'm just saying there's more stuff that they could actually lean into that makes sense to have them with Lambert and to show them off. And they could do matches.
Ethan Page needs to lean into learning how to take Orange Cassidy's moves because Will Ospreay figured it out in like that, and Ethan botched like 3 of them.
I'm sure Ospreay and Cassidy have had many matches.
Well, I'm just saying those guys were fucking smooth as butter. Yeah. This was my whole problem with Will Ospreay. It's just like I felt bad for Ethan Page. Like, oh, sorry, you got to be the follow-up guy to try to recreate that match without Will. Sorry about your damn luck. Anyway, Austin Mattelsaurus gets a push with Christian Cage managing him. Here's what I say about the Luchasaurus. Get him out of the mask already. Can we do mask versus hair with Jungle Boy? Like, give me a reason to care about this feud other than the fact that Christian is the best promo on TV right now. I think you go Apuestas. I think it's great. And I think, Austin's using a gimmick still from Lucha Underground. It's literally his Lucha Underground gimmick. Like, it's dead, bro. Get out of the mask. He's a handsome young fella.
I guess, but it's also money on the indies. So I don't know. But I also think,
is he selling those?
I don't know. I mean,
I don't know that he's ever been selling them because they're expensive to make. You
can make cheap ones that kind of look like it, but it's also like, I think if he's going to be a singles wrestler, this was incredibly smart for Medelson because he works a very slow, deliberate style, which makes him very impactful in the 10-man tags.
Well, I don't think the intention is to make Medelson a singles. But I think he's being completely overlooked in the whole thing. But I think that they could actually make it pay.
I'm saying we've seen him have singles matches that were, ranging from boring to like you have to edit segments out on TV, on dark, like it's that bad. But the way they have him now, he's a slow plodding, like heel monster, and the timing of his moves now work with the pacing that he's doing, because he was trying to match like middleweights doing the fast PWG pace, and like he couldn't. Now he can hit him.
I don't know. I've seen him come pretty close at bar wrestling and a few other places. Like when he has his moments, he can every bit as much do the whole PWG thing as a lot of these guys, especially for a big guy.
Yeah, for a big guy, for sure. But I think he benefits from those matches that have a lot of moving parts, and you can like look away and look back, and then he hits a bunch of moves, and then look away and look back.
Yeah, he's still doing, a head spring kip up, when he's in a tag match. But if you see him in a singles match, he's not doing one of those 10 minutes in. Yeah. He's either doing one in the first 5 minutes or not at all.
Yeah. And
even his scorpion kick is not happening 20 minutes into a Medelson match. It's not an option.
But they also did the same Pentagon gimmick where a guy turns evil and they just wear all black. Pentagon's done it twice.
Look, I'm just saying, I think there's money in him out of the mask. And the other thing that I think would work well with him is letting him have the mic. Madelson's actually very, very good on a mic. He's got stick skills. AEW can use just about any. I think the dude would get himself over so hard, even if they just went with more of the Luchasaurus talking. Like even if he's breaking the gimmick when he talks, let him talk. Like do something different with Medelson now. Like the original version of Luchasaurus is done. Like it doesn't.
I'm over the growls, and I'm over the jokes about how he's 7 billion years old or something.
Exactly. Like let him come out of it. But
I want Jungle Boy to get a haircut.
Well, again, this is why I think you really just do a mask versus hair match, and either way it goes, I think the audience wins. I think the audience would be excited about it. I don't think audience would really see Luchasaurus losing the mask or Jungle Boy losing the hair. And most of these fans have no clue what Medelson looks like underneath the Luchasaurus mask right now. It's actually fairly well protected, even though he was a WWE superstar. He was on a whole season of Big Brother and almost won. Like the guy's face is well known. Anyway.
Yeah.
Danhausen and FTR defeat Max Caster. Loved it. Great match.
That was super fun.
Jade Cargill destroys who? She's 34-0 and feuding with Athena and Statlander, and it's fine.
Who did she beat? I forgot. It was someone.
Yeah. I like her too, and I love how they made it a complete Who match.
Yeah, but they also went it's an open challenge, and this person, to their credit, actually came up to do it.
Yeah, she's real pretty too, and I can't remember her name to save my life. I'll think of it next week.
I'm going to Google it right now because we should give her props because she did a great job. And then, what was interesting was the post-match schmoz where Stokely convinced her to stand up to help out Jade Cargill. And then afterwards,
that's great.
Jade
that
was like,
whole thing was it was really well done. Like they're still doing it right with Jade Cargill. I think Athena's a good matchup for a small powerhouse versus a tall big powerhouse. Keeping Statlander in the mix is great. They got to do a little bit of work with Statlander still, but this is a good way to get it.
yeah.
And holy shit, blood and guts.
Statlander's character progression was her own idea, and it was really good.
Blood and guts.
Trying to get that name.
You'll find it while I'm talking about blood and guts. Oh my God. Just early in the match, Mox doing the blade job for Matt Maynard or Menard or however you pronounce his name. Absolutely hilarious. Like
I have the name. Leela Gray. Look her up. Leela Gray.
Yeah.
And she did some early stuff during the pandemic. I'm sure she was a Florida wrestler who can.
She might be my new Red Velvet, man.
Safer,
Strong's word of fighting words.
Better talent. I mean, in the ring. No, I don't want to slam Red Velvet.
No, I don't. I don't know that she's better than Red Velvet yet. We'll see. But if she gets better than Red Velvet, she gets my vote.
Julie Hart's way better than Red Velvet. Julie Hart, I don't know if she could drive a car yet, but
that kid's a good wrestler.
Yeah.
And I call her a kid. Like I can't simp on her. Like I look at her and that's like a middle school kid to me. Like I can't.
She could be your daughter.
I think that she is. I really think that she's a good wrestler, and I think that all the people who've been saying she's a good wrestler are correct. I mean, there's a lot of goodwill backstage for her.
We just saw. I mean, she's doing these segments on live TV, which is great. But we just saw. I think looked at a clip of one of her dark matches recently. It was a jobber match, but she was nailing everything. She'd hit a sinister heel move.
And she had to slow down for the other girl.
Yeah.
But that was the right call also.
Yeah.
Like if the other person can't keep up with you, make it look good for yourself and for them by slowing it down.
It was the exact opposite of what Marina Shafir is doing in her matches. Because she
and they keep letting Marina go with that style too. I just don't get it. Like put the kibosh on the whole thing. Like revamp that whole character.
Julie Hart hits a move. She hits a move that's kind of a heelish move. Something involves a face wash or whatever, and then looks at the crowd and is like, "I'm mean." Right? So you do something and then you get the reaction. And she does that a few times, makes it look good. And then she does her finish, which I think Malachi Black has to have taught her because she hooks it in some weird way that's very coordinated. And
softens the blow and makes it look more vicious all at the same time. The Tommy Inn special from the Indies.
It's a submission where like she's, you're both standing. She somehow hooks a leg and takes someone down. Next thing you know, she has them sort of wrapped up in a weird Rings of Saturn. But like Marina Shafir has some fucking submission move as her finish, right? You look at it and you're like, I don't know what the fuck this is.
And she's like sitting there tapping on different body parts and telling the person, okay, now give me your arm. Now give me your leg. Now bend your other leg. Like, it's like, okay, I don't want to watch you do a fucking puzzle. This is terrible.
Does her finish, does the takedown, gets the arms hooked, makes the mean face, and wouldn't you know it, she's center ring facing hard cam. And you have this beautiful shot of the other person suffering. And you see Julia Hart's face going, I'm evil and I'm happy.
She hits the hard cam perfect with it. Like,
and it's
clearly the kid is sharp and learning everything that's going on.
So anyway, that's my Blood and Guts review.
Right. It's all Julia Hart. Thanks. Who wasn't even on this show. Way to go, Byron.
My Blood and Guts review was like trying to figure out why is Mox wearing a vest the whole time through? Why is he wearing a vest jacket? What's going on? That's the spot when you got.
There's so many weird little things about Blood and Guts, but it was like, look, it was fun. Regal saying he was out of his depth when they got to the top of the cage because he's never been to the top rope without getting a nosebleed, that was my favorite thing of the whole match. was a Regal commentary bit.
Did you like the Scrumpet comment?
Yeah, dude, the whole thing, it was really fun. Like there was some nonsensical natures to the whole thing, but like, why else are you watching this match? Like, it's not meant to be high art. Them getting up on top of the cage was great. I love how, Jericho and Kingston are really pussyfooting up there. Like, they're not feeling good about the whole thing at all. I love the Eddie Kingston push on Sammy where he's just looking at him like, dude, I'm gonna like one finger touch you and you just do whatever kind of somersault off of this fucking thing you want because this is some bullshit up here.
Yeah. Like,
But
take your
then-
bump. I'm not getting near the edge with you.
Fucking Claudio or Seglarzio, what Claudio
Castagnoli.
just gets up there and is just stomping around like he's fucking one of the Hacksaw Jim Duggan or something. He's like he does not know that he's 700 feet in the air at all. I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, WWE missed a huge opportunity by never putting him in like an elimination. Was he in an elimination chamber or a cage match or something? Who knows? But like, he just seemed like he was in the back parking lot talking about like, and the big swing up on the top of the cage was awesome. I have no idea why they didn't just keep the hard camera angle though. The close-up was great because you could see what was going on. But when they went to that wide, hard, dude, it looked terrifying that he was swinging that guy around up there.
He could have let go and Jericho could have flown off.
I liked the finish too, where Kingston wasn't able to get his shit in, and Claudio.
Yeah.
Like they also AEW. I have to give it up. Like I shit on AEW storytelling a lot, but the fact that in just 2 short appearances, they made you feel like Cesaro and Kingston have issues in history the exact same way that D-Bry and Eddie Kingston did, without you seeing any of it on TV.
Mm-hmm.
They handed that story off so well for a change for AEW, which was nice. And the finish made sense. And literally it's like, oh, they did the exact same finish they would have done if Daniel Bryan was there, minus the giant airplane swing on the top of the cage, which actually makes it better that Daniel Bryan wasn't there.
Yeah.
Because that is a lasting visual. That is an all-time highlight reel. That is your Hall of Fame moment that will never get into the Hall of Fame because you have to go back to WWE for that.
AEW Hall of Fame, which
like
you know, it's really great.
Care about that.
I love AEW when they're like blah 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 in AEW history in like 3 years.
Yeah,
you know, but yeah.
Do we know if Eddie's okay yet or not? Was he?
Eddie's fine. I think he's fine. It's just I think Eddie gets a legit injury in every single match. He threw his back out or something.
I mean, like he literally didn't even want to stand up for a minute for the hand raise, and it wasn't because he was scared of the heights. He was like, "My shit is locked up right now, y'all. I'll be fine in a minute."
That might have also played a part in the Sammy bump.
Yeah,
because after the Sammy bump, you see like Jericho's over there looking at Eddie like, "What's going on?" And like after the Sammy bump, Eddie just like got on all fours and started yelling, "Fuck!"
Yeah,
fuck. And like, what happened? You know, you look at Jericho. What did Jericho do? Jericho's still like selling, lying down, waiting.
I think there was another spot in there that they were probably supposed to do too, but somehow they got to the finish. They did the go home. They came in on time. Claudio got up there when he was supposed to. It worked.
I mean, I think AEW, they have a much different type of storytelling, and you know, what is it? And like
you're being generous calling it storytelling, but yeah,
I think they have a different type of storytelling. I think just in general, the shows are kind of like booked like random matches, like a more sporting event type thing. I think there are people, and I think that's fun for what it is. But I do think like you get the Jerichos and the Moxes, and you get guys who could tell their own stories and have a bit of pull and make it happen. And you can, and Kenny, you can have really well done stories that are better than WWE stories. Like Kenny stuff is gonna be on par with anything that you see.
Well, but it also means knowing what the story is and translating that to the announce team, so that the announce team is peppering it in. I like look the whole like Eddie and D-Bry hate each other thing that was passed off to Cesaro was mostly a story that was told by the announce team during breaks and was planned.
So they do stuff like that. Those are the guys that do those stories, and attention's being paid into it. Lower in a card, less attention paid. But also, like you were talking about vignettes and stuff for Forbidden Door, and I watched The Road to Forbidden Door. There was a ton of great stuff in it. Not all of it makes the show, but there are some.
Some of it was okay.
There are some, but like it's the actual effort of putting vignettes and telling the stories.
But also,
getting hype. I
watched Raw on Monday, and there was a 7.5 minute package for Brock versus Roman, neither of which are even on the show, for a pay-per-view that's a month away from now. Like
Yeah.
WWE is already telling me that
But like,
story.
so AEW in my mind doesn't really rely on that stuff, or maybe there's an element of they put that stuff to, it's not their bread and butter, but they put that stuff together on the road to programs, and then sometimes a vignette will pass the test, get enough buzz, and they'll put that on the show. The really great Blackpool Combat Club promo with Will Regal, and it was just a phenomenal piece of cinema they put together. That was on a Road to thing. It picked up enough steam in like half a day or a day. They put it on the show. The Hardys promo, where Jeff actually cut a great promo, that was on that. It did well. It generated enough buzz. They put that on the show. And I think that's kind of how those segments are going to get on the show. They're not organically built into the program like WWE has.
I mean, and I get what you're saying, and I get what they're I get it.
It's a different style,
but it's also a style that is very ineffective for them for what they want to accomplish on 60% of the time. That's the problem with the style. There's not a problem with having a different style, and honestly, early on, and even during the early part of the pandemic, they were still trying to go for that kind of storytelling, and it was working better. The roster's too big now. There's too much going on. They've had, when they first started too, they hadn't had a bunch of characters swerve or switch sides or heels turn face and whatnot. Like, they had a more set thing. There were more built-in stories, and anybody who was watching did know. But they're past that now. Now they're in the era where you got to reset and you got to tell me every week why this matters. And maybe you don't have to tell me for the whole show, but like, look, everybody knows the Roman and Brock feud, but yet WWE is still going to explain to you the majority of it from scratch, like you don't know, but without talking down to you. Just with hyping it up. And I don't think the AEW has to do the same thing or the same way, but they have to achieve the same effect at some point.
They have to find a better way to incorporate that type of stuff into their presentation, because you kind of hear it from people who didn't do well and got released, or you just have to look at like Thunder Rosa's reign, and you're like, this is a top star in a company that they actually do value, and she is an important person in the company, and she wins the title in a fantastic historic match.
Right. Now shove it down my throat and tell me every week that she's the greatest.
And she comes out.
Show me the package. Show me her and Serena Deeb every time before she wrestles.
I saw this great vignette about her and Toni Storm. I can't remember where. I don't if it was a Road to, or if they actually played a promo on Rampage or something.
There was Rampage.
But yeah, she's talking about competition, and it's a bit of the same story as Serena Deeb. Like, this is someone I looked up to, but like, it's so succinctly done. And it's like, you know what? I'm putting the effort in to connect Serena Deeb program and this one, and I'm learning and I'm building the Thunder Rosa character in my mind in AEW. This is someone who is champ, but still has so much to prove, and she's going after her heroes to prove it to herself. Super compelling. I'm putting those dots together.
But you're putting it together in your head.
Yeah. And they have these parts just lying around.
And even as a smart fan myself, that's fine, but I'm not turning your show on to do the work for you, man.
Yeah, because at some point
I write my own TV shows. Like, I got my own TV show to produce every week, Tony. I'm turning on yours to relax from working on mine. Like, tell me the story. Like, tell me a story, bro. It's TV.
I will say it is looking up. She's formed a tag team, Thunder Rosa, with
Thunderstorm.
Toni Storm, called Thunderstorm. And okay, I'm happy with that. That's gonna be fun.
Know why I'm not happy with that though? Because then in all the AEW posts, they get hashtag Thunderstorm and they don't get their socials post. That's lame.
Tony doesn't have it. They
I'm
tag.
Just kidding. I don't care. I think it's a great. I think it's a great way to go. Kenny Omega's even upset about the lack of storytelling in AEW, Byron.
Kenny Omega is doing his video game stuff and putting out little tidbits that get picked up in the news cycles. He'll say something. I might, if I get
Look,
one more injury setback.
If he was
I'm
trying to get
retiring.
me to mark out for him, it worked because he literally, that article that I read about Kenny Omega's whatever, it was literally all of my opinions about the writing, except he said in wrestling.
Yeah.
And that is not my feeling. I think that Impact even has some pretty good storytelling and pretty consistent right now.
Impact's
and
doing
the
really
new
well.
announce team is, I think, doing well. As much as I like my boy Stryker and D'Lo and whatnot, like the new announce team is working better. But anyway, like WWE does not have the problems that Kenny was specifically citing. They are all 100% AEW problems. But maybe it is, maybe he is taking some shots at like, look, guys, I'm not backstage right now, and this is really what you're writing without me there. And honestly, when Kenny was there last, storylines were better. It was a little too much each faction writing their own storyline, and it wasn't a cohesive overall TV product. And that was our complaint back then. But my complaints since then have been far worse in the story department. So maybe Kenny is some of the magic.
But I also think Kenny's coming back soon.
And maybe,
just
honestly,
getting people familiar with him.
Kenny back with Cody gone and Kenny and his guys having a little more of a run at the story department. Like if it's really just the Kenny faction and the Jericho faction, and that's your story department outside of Tony, that could actually be a good thing, because sometimes it's better to just let somebody have the reins and let them do what they want to do. Unlike our government, where like we go back and forth from one side to the other, and then you can't get anything through the Congress one way or the other. At this point, I'm just like, let one of the sides try their thing. Just let them try it. Like it's just freaking frustrating. Anyway, I loved Hook's promo on Rampage. Royal Rampage was actually fun, and I may have liked parts of Royal Rampage more than the Blood and Guts. I thought it was a little easier to follow. I liked some of the way they were carrying the stories into the ring.
The two camera setup.
Yeah. I think the split screen setup was smart. They also had two hard cameras. The coverage was better than Blood and Guts. Like you really got a better, you got a really got a better sense of what was going on. The lighting was different too. I think Royal Rampage is a gimmick that they should absolutely keep. They were able to actually accomplish a lot of storytelling in that match, like we were talking about. And it is their style of storytelling where it's more matched, rivalry-based storytelling. And it was great. They had plenty of time. This was probably the best battle royal of any kind that AEW's done, because most of them, they're trying to get the storytelling in. It's just a giant schmoz. It's a total clusterfuck. You have no clue what's going on. This time I had a complete image of what was going on. Even when the coverage was on one ring, I knew what was going on in the other. Well done, AEW. I was very surprised. And Swerve, God,
so good.
Love it. This is now, and see, for people who don't know, this is what Swerve was doing on the indies for 3 years before Lucha Underground. This is the original Swerve. All this stuff where like he had babyface friends, and every now and then he would just fuck one over, and he would do weird shit when they weren't looking, and just kind of laugh and smile and chuckle. Like he was telling these stories. This was Shane Strickland's form of storytelling when he was on the indies, to make indie shows fun where there wasn't a big storyline. The storyline was, oh shit, Swerve's in this match. You don't know what's going to happen. Like he might do something shady to his babyface buddy over here. You never know. And then also he's going to fly off the top rope and do like a crazy foot stomp or something. Like Swerve, and he used to wear like a baseball cap when he was doing it and shit. Like it was fun. I love some of that early Swerve I shouldn't even say early. He's been wrestling for fucking a million years. And I think the Brody King win is a good thing too, because here again, we've got these guys with Alistair, Malachi, Tommy End. We've got, and like if you're a wrestling fan, like there's somebody, but also AEW isn't telling you why they're somebody. They're not really giving you a reason. And it's like, no, dude, Brody King's fucking legit.
Yeah.
Like he's another Miro or what? Like he's legit, but we've never seen it in AEW. He's just the heater for the House of Black.
I saw it at Circle 6.
But Brody King is legit, dude. Yeah. And I was like, I was like, no, you know what? That win makes total sense. Like, it's not going anywhere, but it doesn't need to. Like, just tell me and show me that your stars are stars.
I do want to give Brody King props. First of all, super nice guy. I bought a shirt from him that I can never wear anywhere in public. But when he was Brody King in Ring of Honor, kind of coming up, and it's like, oh, he's this big monster. I would watch his matches, and I saw he felt too gentle, too soft to be as tough and as to be the monster he was presented as back
Well,
then.
dude, you have him choke hang Darby at the end of a match. That's a pretty good way to change that opinion quickly, isn't it? Like that visual was amazing. Darby's is freaking. This is why you have a Darby Allin. This is why you build a Darby Allin up for a year or two, make him into this huge baby face, and no one should even notice if for the rest of Darby's entire career he never wins another match. Like, no one should notice or care, because you should be able to do stuff like this with Darby Allin. This is how you use Darby Allin.
Yeah.
You let him get all the way to the end of something big like this and have Brody choke him on the side of the apron and drop him.
Children crying.
Konosuke Takeshita was also awesome. Like,
he's so good.
They're never going to do anything with him, and the dude is pure upside. Like, I'm thinking to myself, like, God, the other places, I just want to see this guy now, because I don't think that AEW even deserves him. Like, they're going to totally respect him, and he's going to have friends in the locker room, and he's going to get fun little matches here and there. But, like, that dude's a superstar. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing him in NXT or WWE, where he would really get a chance to shine like that all the time. Maybe. And not just for 2 minutes of a match.
Maybe.
Put a guy like that on NXT, even if he's jobbing on WWE, I think he's in a better position than he is at AEW. He's just going to be forgotten.
Well, I mean, he's not an AEW contract, so
I know.
But
that's what I'm saying. It's like, which is a shame, because he looks like $1 million fucking bucks.
Absolutely.
Young Bucks versus Bishamon, Yoshihashi and Hirooki Goto.
So why is Yoshihashi in a big match? We're taking him. They're trying to put oh God. Oh,
I don't. And like even the commentary talking about it, I'm just kind of like,
yes.
And just to piss me off even more, it was a title eliminator match. In what sport exactly did the concept come from that you get a non-title match with a champion to earn a title match with the champion? Who was the first jackass that came up with this idea? And it's a WWE thing. And when I saw that AEW was doing it, I was fucking furious.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they wanted to kind of have some stakes, but not make it too obvious. Or I don't know. It's Yoshihashi and Goto on a match. They're not going to win. But it was hilarious where Tony Schiavone is blatantly reading off of a piece of paper about Yoshihashi. He's like talking about how like Goto, Goto style, like, he just told the whole story of what a young boy system is. And he's like, now Yoshihashi's out here winning matches. No. And then he pitched to Excalibur to pick up on that. And Excalibur is like, I know this guy, man. Why'd you set me up?
The whole thing was, and it wasn't even a bad match, but the whole thing was a catastrophe. It was like, look, their storyline was, hey, we're still going to do cool stuff with New Japan. But the reality is, like, no, we're going to do this match with these two guys from New Japan because the bus drove off and left them here because they didn't give a shit. Like you're pitching me their leftovers as like a marquee matchup.
I mean, Goto even like
it was still fun. I'm glad that they kept something going. Like, in the Young Bucks wanted a fun match. But okay, I had no problem with it. It was just the hype that they tried to put on it was like, hey guys, just let it be a Young Bucks squash match against a couple of New Japan talent. Like, it was
a good match. The finish was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Made use of the rings and everything.
It was. I mean, look. Yeah. I can't even believe I'm going to say this, but Nyla Rose might actually be a good way for Marina Shafir to learn.
If it gets Marina on the TV segments she has to be in without her wrestling.
Well, I think she gets to tag in and out. I think Nyla does, believe it or not, have a good head for the business. Like I don't like her character presentation that much. Like I think it needs some refining. I think she Nia Jaxes herself at times when she doesn't need to. But
she gets like it's sometimes snarky for snarky's sake when you're supposed to be a monster.
Yeah, and you know, a little too growly and weird. Like I even had this problem with some cross stuff. Like I just don't like it when characters get too growly. That's not the style I like. But I also think maybe it could be good for Marina. Like Nyla, whether you like her or not, has a really good pacing, understands what's going on. I think, you know, the body type is awkward to go with other wrestlers, so I think that creates other problems. But I don't think Marina is going to have those problems. And Nyla's a bruiser too, and I think she can show Marina how to work a little safer and still be Hoss. Like Nyla is forced to do that all the time with women that she could literally crush by accident if she's not careful with what she's doing, and almost has a few times. But has learned quickly, and you know, all the girls say that Nyla's fine and protects them plenty, and Marina's got to learn. The problem with Marina too isn't just Marina; it's that Tony wants her to do this MMA style. This has been approved. Like this gimmick, her gimmick has been approved, but it doesn't fucking work.
She has to do something in a way that teaches the audience how to follow what she's doing. That's why you have like five move repertoires and
that's
stuff. That's
not the responsibility of the wrestler who's been on TV a total of 7 times. That's the promotion's responsibility. That's the agent's responsibility. That's the bookers and writers' responsibility to put her in a position to showcase and learn those things and to make it compelling television. And that, look, there's the biggest problem at the end of the day. Marina Shafir might be a star, but she right now is not making for good television. Everyone else around her has proven that they can. And to the point where you're making Toni Storm not look good. You're making Thunder Rosa not look good. Or even if you believe that Thunder Rosa is making herself not look good. She made herself look good against the 15 opponents before that.
Yeah.
So even if you're one of these people that believes in the sandbag thing, it's like, well, why are you putting her with talent that she would even feel like she had to do that with? If you believe that theory, it still falls back on the company to a certain extent. Like Marina Shafir, you guys either got to switch up the gimmick and let her go a little lighter and looser with some rope running and some wrestling, or you got to teach her how to make her thing get over. And God damn it, lose the stupid music. It's not good heat.
Do a remix.
Put me to sleep heat. Put a beat on it at least.
A beat. Yeah, so that way
make her seem tough.
Menacing.
I'm sorry. Nobody seems tough coming out to a single violin melody.
She's not. I mean, if you have like someone very physically imposing, then you have a juxtaposition.
I don't know.
But
like, WWE is smart. They would use the one bar of the violin thing as the cue and then have something else kick in and hit. Like it's I get it. And I get why they're doing it. It's supposed to make her look like, you know, regionally tough European badass shoot fighter. I get it. It doesn't work. No. This version doesn't work, Tony. Figure it out. Dial it in. Like, keep doing it. I'm not telling you to stop doing it. Keep doing it. Keep Nyla with Marina. That's a good call.
Yeah.
Keep them feuding with Thunderstorm. Fine. I have no problem with that. But like, keep refining it every week. Don't just keep sending it out there exactly the same and expecting it to get better. Like what's happening right now is Tony and Thunder Rosa are forcing it to look like it works with Marina. To make it look like it works with Marina. They're not actually making it work with Marina because I don't think they can.
Yeah.
They're just forcing it to look good. And you know what would happen if she got in there with like a Natalya or a Charlotte or somebody like that? They would potato her, pick her up, scoop slam her repeatedly, throw her into the ropes, make her run ropes. They would force her to perform like a regular wrestler.
Well, it's like if you read Bret Hart's autobiography, the section where he describes his early matches with Dynamite Kid. That's what it would be. You'd get bullied into a decent match until you've earned enough respect to show that you can actively participate in putting together a good match. Because if your opponent can't count on you, they still got to be a draw and make their money. They're going to get a good match out of you.
And that's part of what is missing from this, all friends PWG style of wrestling. Anyway, I'm going to bed, Byron. I got to work early in the morning.
Can I recommend something really quickly?
Of course you can.
I found this book and I've been reading it. It's called Fist of the North Star. And I really recommend it. This is chapter 1. I believe, don't hold me to
Byron,
this,
what year did that come out?
There are more. There might be more chapters.
Byron, what year did that come out?
More volumes. This is volume 1.
Are you telling me that you're just now getting hip to Fist of the North Star?
I bought it like 3 months ago, but I just read it like 2 days ago, half of it.
Okay. So until next time, stay calm and stay in the mix.